Hey guys, how's it going? This is Alberto with A to Z Tactical Academy. Today, I'm going to install an SCD, a striker control device, on a CZ P10C and explain why you should have one too. Okay, so the installation of a striker control device and what does it do for a striker pistol like a Glock or a CZ P10C. Today, I'm going to be installing one in a CZ P10C. And the striker control device is designed, built, and sold here in the United States by a company called Danforth Designs. They had kind of a long lead time initially, but I think it's a little more available now. So this is an accessory that I think is very, very important to have, especially if you carry appendix with a striker pistol like a Glock or a CZ-P10. Okay, what happens is now by putting your thumb on it, you block the rearward movement of the trigger. The Glock version is made by Langdon Tactical, and they have, their varietals of that. And the one for the CZP-10 is made by Danforth Designs. I acquired mine from them with my own money. It wasn't given to me at all. It's an accessory that I've been wanting for a ZC line of pistols for quite some time. So I will be pointing the camera at my workbench and going over the installation, but basically you don't need any tools. When you order the device, you get everything you need. You get a little bit of blue Loctite, you get the Allen wrench that is required for you to install it. The rest of it is just your fingers and your wit. So here it goes. To open the case on CZs is a little different than any other cases. You pop these out and you have to push your finger here and it opens up, right? So first thing you have to make sure of is that the gun is not loaded, right? So finger obviously here and leave the action open, verify that you have nothing in it, and then take the slide out, remove the slide, which it's done similar to the Glock. So this is the same disassembly procedure. Close the slide, press the trigger, pull these two tabs, this one and that one at the same time, and back this up just slightly and it pops out super easy. To make it easy, I'm going to remove the barrel. Basically just grab from here, take the recoil spring and take the barrel out. Again, we don't need this stuff. This is what we would be working with, and it's basically a tool-less design. You don't need tools for it. First, you got to remove the back plate, which is right here. First thing you got to make sure of is that the striker, which is this right here, this is the sear of the striker. And then this right here is the safety. So the safety moves side to side in this manner. If the striker happens to be ahead of it like this, make sure before you start the installation, you push this back so that this falls right in that slot. Next, you're going to grab the striker. I'm gonna do it with my thumb, but I'll show you here with the Allen wrench. And you're going to pull forward the entire assembly. That basically takes this whole entire thing forward so you can move with your thumb the back plate out of the way. So you can use your thumb this way. If I can get close. And it's a little sharp, so just put gloves if you don't want it. But you basically move it like this. See that little motion in there. And once it's out of the way, you push this out very easily. It comes out. And that's it. You're done. This is what we would be replacing. This is the back plate. We'll leave this alone. We don't need to take any more disassembly of this slide. This is what we're replacing. The striker control device. This is what you get. You get the new metal. This right here. The factory backplate is plastic. Is literally just plastic injected. It doesn't have to be metal. It doesn't require it. So they made it out of plastic. Danforth's striker control device is entirely made out of metal. So you get a little tube of blue Loctite, which you will need. And then you get the Allen wrench and a very, very small set screw. And that is the entire thing. There's no more, right? What you have to do first is take the Allen wrench and the striker control device out of its package. This will be the back of the gun. That would be against the assembly where the sear is, right? So you're going to take the Allen wrench, put it through the hole completely, the whole thing like that, right? And then you're going to put, be careful not to lose it, this little tiny, tiny set screw at the end of that, just like so. You're going to drop maybe one drop of blue Loctite in there and then back it in backwards into the hole until it's flush. Let me prepare that. All right. So with this assembly the way it is, put a little drop of blue Loctite on the threads. That's it. It's more than necessary. And then carefully back it into the screw and thread it backwards. You might need to hold it with your thumb like this, and as you thread backwards. So lefty-loosey kind of thing. Once you back it in, make sure it is now flush with the surface of the striker control device. A little more here. All right, so now I got it flush. Next, make sure you wipe any excess of that and remove the Allen wrench. Now we're ready to put it back into the pistol. All right, so once I've done that, I got to put this back in, right? So it's going to go in these channels. Hopefully the camera can focus up there. There's a channel there, right here, and another one right there. And that's where this back plate needs to slide in. Goes in this way. And so you position it this way. You got to pull this assembly back or push it from here, which is the easiest way to do it. Let me put the slide towards the table so I'm not holding it with my hands and trying to do too much on at the same time. There are occasions in which the dimensions of your particular slide and the dimensions of this machine part are going to be slightly different. Hopefully that's not the case with me. We'll check on that. So let me see here. You put it where it needs to kind of go, right there. If it's still in camera. I'm going to push on this assembly to get it completely out of the way. And this should slide very easily in there. I think I'm going to have one of those that does not fit. Yeah, it doesn't go easy. So anyway, what I'm going to do now, just to prove my theory, is to remove the striker and safety assembly. You literally just pull this back out. It's super easy to pull out. Let's see here. There you go. So it just kind of pops out. This whole entire assembly holds the striker, the safety, the sear, everything. So now, without having to push anything, I'm going to try to put this in the rails and see if it goes. Nope, it does not go. Does not go. And I can see, let's see if I can point it in the camera right here. This dimension on that channel is just slightly bigger than in my slide. And it's getting stuck right there. So let me try to take, it might be some of the black Cerakote or the black treatment. Let me see if I can get my rasp and just gonna remove a little bit of material to make it fit. Once I get it fixed, then I'll put this back together. So I'll be right back. All right, so I guess home gunsmithing, right? I'm gonna take just a tiny bit of this. It is a hardened piece, but I think it is the Cerakote treatment that just makes an extra dimension in there. All right, so I had to remove some of the Cerakote coating. You can see here, I had to remove some little bit of dimensional material in there. You have to understand these parts are made with some tolerances, and the same thing applies to the slice. Right, this machining surfaces are made by the thousands in very advanced CNCs, but there are tolerances, right? So 1 or 2 thousandths of an inch will make a big difference. and you may need to do some gunsmithing, if you will. If you don't feel up to doing this, or you don't have the tools or the confidence that you can install this and make it fit properly, then definitely go to a gunsmith. Right, so reinstalling this thing here, it's basically just putting it back in. It goes super easy. It's basically just inserted in there. And then I'm going to put the pistol slide back here on the surface, guide this in as I use a Allen wrench to push the assembly forward so that this falls in until it clicks. See here, right there, and it goes all the way. Got to make sure that it's all the way in. You can see here that there is a gap. This should be all the way in, right? So I'm just gonna push it in a little more. Make sure it's all the way in, right there. And you heard that click. What you should have at the very end is this surface and that surface should be equal. If there is a difference between these two surfaces, it's not inserted all the way in. Right, so this right here, which is the new striker control device. The camera's not focusing. So this right here, which is the new striker control device, and this right here, which is the striker sear safety assembly, this should be at the same level. That's when you know that you got it all the way in. All right, final step to make sure is you put the Allen wrench in that hole where we backed in that set screw, and then just give it a tug. Not too much, because it's just an aluminum frame and aluminum set screw. So that's it. That would keep it in there. And now we're ready to reassemble the pistol. Now this striker control device will add some incredible safety to your reholstering process. All right, so to put it back in together, you put the barrel, you put the recoil spring, which literally is just held like that. And to reassemble the pistol, you just kind of guide it over these two ears right here. Let's see if I can see them right there. This one. And literally just rack the slide. That's it. It's in there. All right. What it does now, when you rack the pistol, as you press the trigger, you'll see this striker go back. You see that moving a little bit back? Okay. What happens is now, by putting your thumb on it, you block the rearward movement of the trigger. Basically, if you block the rear plate, which is now a striker control device, you cannot move the trigger back. It's stuck, right? When you don't block this, this is the normal function of the SCD. It just makes this pop out. Like so. So if you put your thumb in here and you're reholstering and something gets into the trigger and it starts moving the trigger rearwards, you'd feel it immediately in the striker control device. I can feel it here, my thumb wanting to move back. If I wanted to prevent the rearward movement of the trigger, I put, more pressure in the back plate, and then that trigger cannot move forward. I basically have made this pistol a lot more secure to reholster by making sure that the trigger cannot move rearward if there's a piece of my shirt or a piece of debris in the holster, and it won't fire.